Welcome to the Blessed to Teach show. This is Rick, your host here for the next hour. We're going to be going through a ton of information on this red line, the deep state giving a red line to Trump based upon new information with Sessions and new attorney general potentially, as well as just all kinds of election analysis that we're going to be going over. I'm also going to be showing you how I test a prophet and show you how one of them, is questionable right now in my mind. And then we're going to go over tons of QAnon drops and QAnon news. So it's a packed show. Going to be digging through this, and it's going to be a fun time. Not sure if everything went out. Usually I have tons of people on by now, so this has obviously been slow to actually start giving all the notifications out. So hopefully everything's okay. I wanted to check with the people that have come on my sound as well. But it looks like it is streaming. Looks like the sound is up. So we're going to be going again. This is the red line election analysis, QAnon, November 7th. Finally, we have somebody on. Mary Campbell, thank you for coming on. I know it's real late here. So I flew in from the West Coast and having to start later than I normally do based upon just really tons of stuff to talk about and really wanting to do some better analysis for you guys to really dig into some of what happened last night in an election, really some of the newer actions and acceleration that might be happening. This is kind of exciting. So Mary Campbell and Ice Cream Machine and Noni and Joshua and Gibb and Douglas, thank you from Bellingham. All right. Where else? New York City. Thank you guys for coming on here. We have, now they're starting to come on more. Wanda and Nani, thank you. Let me know how my sound is real quick, and we'll get going here. Again, we're talking about the red line that the deep state is setting again. It's the same red line, but they're doing it again. Hello from Houston and Nevada and Seattle. Thank you guys in Kentucky. Again, the election analysis, quite a bit of analysis I'm going to do on that. I'm also going to analyze a prophet at the end and really get into QAnon drops and the November 7th updates here. Netherlands. Thank you, Vincent from the Netherlands. Sound is great, says Wanda. So I'm trying to be a little closer to the microphone and had to turn it way up. So something happened either with YouTube or my machine where my volume literally dropped like 70%. So it's way up now as long as it's not hot. Let me know if it starts getting too hot and we'll be going here. Here we go. We are off to digging into some QAnon stuff here. We're going to be going over a little bit of Hank Kuhneman, a little bit of Charlie Shamp at the end of this, but I really wanted to kind of start with your computer security, right? If you look at just this new thing, Hacker News, Windows 10 bug let UWP apps access all files without the user's consent. This is just came out on October 30th. You can see that every day there's some other way that they're trying to hack your computers, and you can be vulnerable. And one of the best ways to hide that, and I've told you guys about this about a month and a half ago, and another sponsor wanted to continue because they love you guys, and you obviously have responded well, is that you don't want to give your IP address. It's like a phone number for your router. So anywhere you have Wi-Fi, it's literally a number that never changes. So I have one, and incidentally, it has one of the numbers is 187 in there. It's bad news, right? But I showed you part of my IP address. If I kind of come over here and I leave up this, here's part of my IP address. You'll see 47.187. Right? I'm not going to show you it all because once you want to hide that. And so a VPN can hide that, and you can look like you're in different parts of the country, and plus it changes your IP address, plus it encrypts your data. Now you can get some of these for free that are slow and hard to use, or you can get one and actually pay for a good one like this one, which is Virtual Shield, that actually costs you a very little bit of money, and it actually works incredibly well. So now if once I turn it on, I can refresh this IP address. And you'll see once I refresh the IP address, it changes to a whole new number, which I'll show you here in a second. But the whole point is you want one that's easy to use, that's incredibly fast, and they cost quite a bit of money to get good ones, $20, $30 a month, right? Well, there's a deal on this one that literally for Black Friday, you will literally get this for a dirt cheap, right? So let me show you that deal. It's Black Friday sale. $2.99 a month if you do a 2-year deal. You won't find that anywhere. And plus 40 off of all the add-ons. You can actually make sure you turn your microphone off and your speakers away from hackers. So this is the best deal on a VPN you'll find. $2.99 a month. Are you kidding me? And so go dig into that and you'll see that. For some reason, this is not refreshing for me. I wanted to show you the new IP address. But once you go in here and you just disconnect or connect. Right, and I'm not going to do it right now because I'm connected here, but it changes your IP address. You can connect to all these different ones that are different parts of the cities. I mean, different cities. You can see right now I'm on Dallas P1, but this goes into all different kinds of areas. You can be in different countries and show you're from somewhere else. That's a great way as a first round of protection. So you'll see. virtualshield.com/blessed. I'll have a link down below for you to dig into that. Let's dig into this now. Here we are on the November 7th, and I'm going to refresh here because he seems to keep posting quite a bit today, but it's been fun to dig into that. And I'm going to get into a lot of analysis as well of the elections, go over prophecy, some of the prophecies and analyze that. So let's dig into this because there was a lot, and I posted last night real quickly to show you guys some of my thoughts. I'm still extremely optimistic, but you guys know I'm an optimistic guy. So you'll have to settle me down if you think I'm being too optimistic, but I'm incredibly optimistic, especially after seeing his tweets that came in last night and today. So here we are in 2242. Where he's saying history is being made. You are the saviors of mankind. Nothing will stop what is coming. Nothing. Kyoo. And so I just thought, red wave. And so I was too far up. I probably brought you guys too far up. And if you look at 2441, here's where he says, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sins and I will heal their land. And we know that's what's happening now. We can see it. God's hands on this country. He's starting to heal this. And 2441 was just so inspirational. And man, I was up for the elections last night. And then as obviously it became clear that we're losing the House, I'm going, crap. But boy, we were doing well in the Senate. That was exciting what we were doing in the Senate. And then I started getting Kyoo posts and started thinking through this and praying through this. And I'm going to show you a bunch of analysis. I think this is a very optimistic time. And it's just a little different than what we were thinking. But here you go, 2443. Here's this, we are united. The world is changing. You can feel it. This is another one that was just still, again, this was before all the results started pouring in. And this is this kid that's getting this picture taken with QAnon because it's spreading the day, teaching the future generation the truth. I took photos of him at 1 year old and the sister at 3 watching the inauguration because I knew how historical it would be. Now, talking about the inauguration back then, but just cool stuff that just gets your pride up for this country and seeing that we're taking this country back. And then this is what I read you guys last night, right? And this was exciting to me to kind of get some more perspective of thinking through what actually happened. Tremendous success tonight. Thank you to all. Now people that were psyched like me were thinking I was disappointed, but if you go look at the broadcast on CNN and NBC, they were really disappointed. They wanted a big blue wave. They wanted to take the Senate back. They wanted to get like 60 seats, like with Clinton, or lost in his, or Barack Obama, who lost like 58 seats. Looks like they're only going to get 30 to 35, which is still disappointing to us. But if you look about the amount of money they were spending, the amount of momentum they had, we had to have a red wave counteract it. And if we didn't get out and vote and put the effort that we did and pray, etc., there's no way we would have been able to hold the Senate. And you'll see in a second, the Senate's 100 times more important. And this is what he's saying right here in 2444. We got what we needed. Thank you, Patriots. Senate means everything. The judges, Supreme Court, and Cabinet. D-class overrides all potential House blockades. That's an important point right there. Now, I'm hoping it doesn't just use it as threat so much that we never get to see it, and it leaks out faster than just these dribbles we've been getting. But that is a big statement there. D-class overrides all potential House blockades. POTUS has ultimate authority. And this is the big thing that got me excited last night when I was reading it to you, is shift to Senate judiciary oversight from House to now occur, stronger position and held in reserve for this scenario. So this shows this military planning is going on. If they're going to lose the House, they had this other plan here in case. They obviously were optimistic and hoping could, God move on everybody's hearts and keep the illegals from voting and eliminate all voter fraud, and all of a sudden, boom, we have a whole new House. And I'll tell you another story in a second about why I was happy in one way in just a second. But it says lower chamber House used as 2-year starter, upper chamber Senate will use next 2-year closer. Now, this has made me excited because I was hoping this wasn't going to be like a 4-year plan to eliminate the deep state, right? It's like, well, that's good. We at least have next 2-year closer, right? So basically we're over halfway through closing this puppy out, right? And here is this site that tells us all that the Senate can do in the judiciary. It's much more powerful than the House is, and that's why they call the upper chamber. And that's why it's much more prestigious to be in the Senate, because it's only 50 people versus 435, right? And then it just says military plan. So this whole scenario was planned in the military planning, and no impact regarding ongoing investigations. Team is stronger basically they're pro-Trump. We find out that later in a later drop. And then if you look at this deal, look at this, and I'm not going to read this all to you, but just all the type of things that they have power over us, and to appointment of representatives, bankruptcy, immunity, espionage and counterfeiting, civil liberties, constitutional amendments. That could come into play, that 14th Amendment, and et cetera. Whether we need to reword that a little bit. Federal courts and judges, governmental information, holidays and celebrations, immigration and naturalization. So, and obviously just the courts, the Supreme Court, and all the cabinet positions is the most important. But you can read through this later. I'll put that in the show notes, which are on blessedtoteach.com. 2 with a number, blessedtoteach.com. 2445. Do you believe in coincidences? Which 2 House members ran the investigations regarding DOJ and FBI, etc.? We know who that was. That was Gowdy and Goodlatte, right? And here is the article that discusses that, and it says Gowdy resignation. And here it is. Gowdy reach agreement with the Department of Justice. And it goes just through how they led this whole first 2 years that they're talking about of all these investigations, right? And let me close those down so we don't have too many windows open. Here we go. And you'll see Gowdy resignation. What role did he play in the House investigations? And then Q's getting a lot more obvious now. He answers it. House Oversight and Government Reform Committee Chairman. And it says Goodlatte resignation. What role did he play regarding House investigations? House Judiciary Chairman. He answers the question again for us. And he says House to Senate, House to Senate, House to Senate. So this is the whole key. This whole scenario where the Senate was not a majority because we had 3 bad apples in there, Coker, Flake, and McCain, right? So even though we had 51, it was really more like 48. So we couldn't do anything in the Senate. We barely could. We had to get rid of McCain to actually get. In a huge, long battle, obviously, to get the Supreme Court nominee Kavanaugh in. It says trust Grassley, and it says Senate Judiciary Chairman. So this Judiciary Chairman is actually going to now be doing all these new investigations and carrying them on. House of Cards and Kill Brackets, military planning is at its finest. So this is military planning at its finest, and you'll see some analysis of this in a bit as I get into this. 2446. Here it says the Senate was the target. That is the whole key here, is to understand that what the military planning said. Okay, we have to hold the Senate, and that's why you see all Trump's trips. They're almost all were to go win key Senate positions, and almost everybody he supported actually in the tight districts actually won. So it's a huge victory for us to replace 3 bad senators, as well as get 3 to 5 more. So it could be like an upwards of 6 or 7. That's huge for the Senate, right? To get when you're a newly won president, 2 years later you usually get wiped out in the House and Senate. To actually win 7 seats, So you got to remember, replacing 3 compromise senators, plus the 1 advantage we had, plus the 4 or 5 extra we got, is huge. and then we also have the tiebreaker with the vice president. So that gives you can lose 4 or 5 people and still push initiatives through. That's why the Senate was the target. Much more powerful upper house, and also now something that you could control and use Trump's power to go help 7 or 8 battles versus trying to do 30 or 40 battles in the House, which would have been impossible for him to go tackle. Corker plus Flake removed, and then obviously no name as well was the third one. How do you catch a fish? So they basically said they knew that there's going to be billions of these billionaires putting millions of dollars into it, and they spread their money out and spent a lot of it on the House of Representatives. So they didn't have as much as they would have if they had just focused on the Senate. So mission forward, these people are stupid. So they took the bait. They took the bait and spread their money out over all the Republican districts, and they had celebrities, everything all over the place, while Trump was focused on the Senate. And so 2447 says, if the Democrats think they are going to waste taxpayer money investigating us at the House level, then we will likewise be forced to consider investigating them for all the leaks of classified information and much else at the Senate level. 2 can play that game. So there's something, if they shifty shift, he's going to be trying to do everything he can because he's going to jail anyway. He knows he's in deep trouble. So he's going to be pulling off all these fake investigations, and that's going to potentially just backfire on them, just like the Kavanaugh thing did. So this says future proves past Kyoo. Now that's 2447. Here's 2448. Gets into we are at war. Think logically. Why was winning the House majority the primary goal for them? Right? They're trying to end these investigations. They had no idea that we had Plan B here ready for them. That's actually going to be more powerful. To this point, what chamber is currently directing the DOJ FBI investigations? The House is now. To this point, what chamber do they feel most threatened by? Right now, to this point, the House. While the focus was on the House for them, due to the above, our underlying focus was adding pro-POTUS members to the Senate and safely securing a pro-majority. The Senate is worth so much more. The Senate controls judges and cabinet positions without the House approval. The Senate Judiciary Committee has direct oversight over the DOJ and FBI. More power than the House. While we had a Senate majority on paper, in reality we never did, nor could we count on bringing an investigation to that body until it was safely in our full control. So cleaning out the Senate and bringing in these new 7 seats is huge. Patriots delivered. So your prayer, your fasting, your action and getting out there help stop this blue wave. The red wave and blue wave counteract each other. Here is the Patriots delivered. Disinformation is necessary. Enemy at the front door. Our attempt at reassurance regarding last drops regarding House to Senate, backed by POTUS tweet directly thereafter, stating the same thing, should have put this to bed. How many coincidences before it's mathematically impossible? Do you think the current shill attack is organic? Buckle up, Kyoo. So as they continue to fight Kyoo as a LARP, it's going to be really tough for them to do as we get more and more proofs, right? 2449, POTUS just said, these people are sick. We are with you, Anons. Kyoo. So just the fact that POTUS is actually saying that and Kyoo says that constantly, right? 2450. Here's, we are going to show you a new world. Those who are blind will soon see light. A beautiful, brave new world lies ahead. We take this journey together, one step at a time. Where we go one, we go all. 2450. And then here we go on 2451, and it's taking something from November 6th that says, history is being made. You are saviors of mankind. Nothing will stop what is coming. Nothing. Kyoo. Thank you for service to our country, Mr. Trey Gowdy. Interesting. He resigned from the House. Did they know they weren't going to have the House? Thank you for service to our country, Mr. Bob Goodlatte. He resigned from the House. Your sacrifices will never be forgotten. Q+. Signed by Trump, I believe, right? That's pretty much been confirmed now. So now you have Trey Gowdy. What's going to be his role? Well, as we'll see in a second, the big news for today was that Sessions is resigning, right? Trey Gowdy's a prosecutor and a bulldog. Could that be where he's going? That's where I think he's going. 2452. Thank you for your service to our country, Mr. Jeff Sessions. Your sacrifices will never be forgotten. Q+. So this came after, right? We learned today that after Sessions resigned. And so here's the president saying your sacrifices will never be forgotten, right? And so here we are with a lot of people worried that Jeff Sessions is getting replaced. But remember, he's going to go down as a patriot hero, I believe, because of now you're going to see in a second 61,000 sealed indictments, another 5,000 plus. The pace still continues. Crazy. So we're talking a year now of over 5,000 for 12 straight months. 5,000 a month, over 61,000 sealed indictments since October of last year. Crazy. That's 2452. Here you're going to see 2453. History is being made, that same thing. And then he basically says, thank you for service, Trey Gowdy, that same one that we just read. And then he amplifies on it here and says, has another Twitter tweet from Trump. And it says, while we cannot telegraph everything for reasons all can understand, we do try in our own way to inform loyal Anons and patriots. What are the odds? Thank you for your service was posted less than 1 hour prior to POTUS regarding Sessions. Thank you for your service. Do you believe in coincidences? How many coincidences before mathematically impossible? The Senate was the key. Enjoy the show. Q. Tell you what, guys, this is getting exciting. So again, just another proof of many we've had. We saw Q posting an hour before this. Thank you for your service. And there you go. We thank Attorney General Jeff Sessions for his service and wish him well. A permanent replacement will be nominated at a later date. And we are pleased to announce that Matthew G. Whitaker, Chief of Staff to Attorney General Jeff Sessions at the Department of Justice, will become our new acting Attorney General of the United States. He will serve our country well. And what's exciting about this, guys, is that the deep state's panicking now. The deep state is panicking. Whoa. It's like, oh my goodness. You're really doing it? We thought we had Sessions under control. He was this docile guy. Trump's mad at him. You're letting him go? Really? Well, this next guy needs to recuse himself. I don't care who it is. It's like, just like Kavanaugh. I don't care who it is. They're rapists. They're serial rapists. It's like, they just show their hand so easily. If people would just wake up from the Mockingbird media, right? Here's 2454. This is new. I did see this one before. It says, so an anon says a lot of 502s, that's errors that are coming into your servers and stuff, and PF and effery, and it basically says board under attack. Do you understand why? Q. And what he's alluding to is that they're attacking the board because they're hoping that people won't see this, right? And here we go, and we get to see stuff that people, this is again the biggest intelligence dump in history that we've got over the last year. And if you just think about what's happened and list everything from the last year, it's amazing what's happened. It seems slow to us that are watching it every day, but if you just look at what's happened in the last year, it's amazing progress. 2455, Reuters top Senate Democrat Schumer Whitaker should recuse himself from Russia probe. I'm sorry, this is so funny to me. So here's top Senate Democrat Schumer, Chuck Schumer himself, crying Schumer, saying Whitaker should recuse himself from the Russia probe. It's like, are you serious? The Russia probe's false and everybody knows it, and you still think a guy needs to recuse himself from it? Are you serious? So we'll go look at that article here. But there will be no recusal, he says. So here he is, crying Chuck, saying, oh man, he needs to recuse himself. Senate Democrat leader Chuck Schumer said on Wednesday that acting Attorney General Matthew Whitaker, who was appointed by President Donald Trump after he fired Jeff Sessions, should recuse himself from oversight of the Russia probe. Given his previous comments advocating defunding and imposing limitations on the Mueller investigation, Mr. Whitaker should recuse himself from its oversight and duration of this time as acting Attorney General, Schumer said in a statement. So just by trying to control this monstrous thing and have an opinion about that, that means you should recuse yourself? No. Recuse yourself means that you literally had some type of conflict of interest, which he clearly does not. So they're just panicking, I'm telling you. And then you see Eric Holder. We'll see here. It's like, are you kidding me? These guys are scared. Coincidence? Kyoo. Who's this? Who's this freaking out? This is what I have on my screen, right? This is, oh no, this is talking about the where we go one, we go all. It's the next one I'm going to show you with Eric Holder. But this is QAnon Post 11/7/18 basically said November. This is my for Q Post Wednesday. This in the Matrix guy, and he's alluding to this post here. And it says, fun fact, today is the anniversary of Red October in 1917. Now, I haven't researched this yet. I don't know how that it can be November 7th, and it's the Red October anniversary. So I guess that's the fact, though. In 1917, it's Red October. And so that's why they're saying coincidence, right? So Q sent me to you on my post. Ha! Congratulations. And coincidence? Q. Red line on the anniversary of Red October. Now, what are the odds of that? So, guys, this is when you look at everything we're getting, you've got to just enjoy this, enjoy the show, right? Here's a 2459. Here's Eric Holder's status. This is funny. This is the one that I had to name the episode after this. Anyone who attempts to interfere or obstruct the Mueller inquiry must be held accountable. Now, here's Eric Holder, criminal himself, scared to death, deep state operative, not even in a position of power now, freaking out and telling us that anyone who attempts to interfere with obstruct the Mueller inquiry, oh my, he's my savior, he's my blockade, right? Must be held accountable. This is a red line. Are you kidding me? They're still talking about that. I mean, they're telling it's a red line to fire Sessions, right? And so he already passed that. He's already fired him. We are a nation of laws and norms, not subject to the self-interest actions of one man. Yeah, just one man, just trying to obstruct justice. All he's trying to do is red pill and let people know what your corrupt administration did, Mr. Eric Holder. And so, anyway, the Obama administration. And then Q was replying to Eric Holder's tweet there. He says, imagine if the new acting AG now released all previously blocked docs requested by the House, including the Rod Rosenstein secondary class scope doc. Stealth bombers fly undetected. The red line months-old 4 a.m. narrative should be updated. Pain coming. Q. Whoa. Now, this is some fun action about ready to kick in, guys. So, so here, I want to back up a little bit and talk to you a little bit about my perspective. So I'm flying. I don't tell you exactly where I am just for safety purposes, et cetera. Want to have I'm here at my home. I have my Second Amendment rights. I have cameras. I used to own my company I owned in 2006 to 2008. Put video cameras everywhere. I have video cameras everywhere. So security tight, a lot of other stuff I'm not going to talk about. But the whole point is that I was flying into San Francisco, and I had an hour drive to a client, and then had to drive back into San Francisco. I just realized, oh my goodness, if we win the Senate and the House in a tsunami, a red tsunami or a red wave, there's going to probably be riots in San Francisco. And there I am going through there. So I started thinking through that, and I go, wow, now this has settled down the left a little bit. They're disappointed, but they're not angry as much, right? So and it spread it out so much through ammunition of false flags. Hopefully they're running out of some ammunition, and hopefully that God's got this plan and Q's got this plan, that this is going to happen without massive civil unrest, right? So I saw some other things about more riots being planned by Soros, etc. But let's pray against that, and maybe this is being lengthened out a little bit to where people can be red-pilled before they go to the streets and freak out, right? So interesting as one point of view. So let's dig into some other points of view, because I think it's important to see what other people were talking about this. So here is the analysis I wanted to show you about. This is just one person's point of view. Analysis, results, midterms 2018, and speculation for 2020. This is just Francisco Carpenter. So the source was actually a video, and he actually transcribed some of it. It said, the good news, Donald Trump has been normalized. As a political figure, he is not this one-off. He is not an oddity. He is not an anomaly. Basically, he's now real. Everybody knows he's got power. He's the real thing. 2, all Democrat senators who voted against Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation to the nation's highest court lost in their competitive respective bids. Isn't that crazy? So the one that said yes just to save his job, well, it saved his job. And so quite interesting that he actually made it through that. Here is no blue wave, right? Obviously, a blue wave is 60, 50, 60 things that just like what happened with the red wave when against Clinton, against Obama, right? And it was in both houses. I mean, both the House and the Senate, right? And so that is significant. It was in both chambers, right? Here is zero risk of impeachment for Trump until 2020, according to this guy's opinion. The House can talk and smear Trump for impeachment. That is not going to happen. Likely only more smears, fake news, spectacles, because the declassification of abuses would override all potential House blockers. The president role has ultimate authority on declassification. The Senate controls both the judged and cabinet positions without House approval. The Senate Judiciary Committee has direct oversight over alleged corruptions at the DOJ and FBI. Most public servant at the DOJ and FBI, good people with mature behaviors, but a minority have immature behaviors. So here it is. 5, Trump is now more insulated. He has some people carrying water for him, which is really important. I mean, really, he helped people get elected. I mean, even Cruz, as an example, needed Trump. And so Cruz is going to be a avid supporter. He was not 2 years ago, right? And you can list the other seven people he helped get elected as well. They are huge Trump supporters now, and replacing 7 who weren't. So record number of voting participation for midterms. In other words, American citizens are increasingly interested in politics, less apathetic to politics. So that's interesting. American citizens are increasingly voting for policies and politician past track records instead of voting for the profit mass media fake news and propaganda. So, hey, these are some positive things. Increasing diversity. A record number of women won races across the country, and candidates of color and LGBT people have also broken barriers, including Blexit, the black exit, right? About the 40%. I read that set to you guys before. And so good stuff looking there. Good day for Donald Trump. and a good day for the GOP. So I know we may have been disappointed because we were listening to prophets that were telling us there was going to be a red tsunami, but the red tsunami was probably counteracted the blue tsunami, right? And there was obviously a win-win here on both sides. But then again, this person at least thinks that it was a good day for the GOP, and a lot of people on the mainstream media felt it was disappointing for their blue wave. That was not that big at all. Narrow victory for Donald Trump in the midterms. So this guy at least gives the win to Donald Trump. 11, the U.S. political system is a bit more normal. For example, most of the predictions, speculations, and polls were more accurate. I told you guys the day before, maybe 2 days before, that the Rasmussen report that showed how Democrats were more likely to tell you how they were going to vote versus Republicans and moderates, especially moderates, because they made it so caustic. So there's this big Trump, silent Trump support that doesn't show up in the polls, right? But I think that was counteracted, I believe, by illegal voting and fraud. That's what I believe happened. But anyway, that's just my opinion. But I still think that is a huge group that we need. But it shows we need a better ground game, guys. I was listening to Lance Wallnau, another guy I respect a lot. He does not believe in Kyoo, but because the reason is he doesn't want us to relax. Remember, we have to act as well. We're not just watch the movie, right? We have to actually pray and fast and actually get out there and do things and join this movement and help get the ground game for 2020, for an example, right? And so I can see why he has a concern there. I understand that. But I believe we can do both. We can learn about Q, understand what's really going on, and then know where to attack better because he's informing us and know how to red pill people better, right? But guys, we got to be in this for the long term. This is not a short-term game, right? We can't have this attitude of, oh, I just want all of the hammer to come down and all my friends will think that think I'm weird will now know I was right. That's not the attitude. The attitude is we're trying to free the world and child traffickers from a criminal, deeply embedded criminals worldwide that has been there for centuries. That is a hard thing to do. That's going to take time, and we need to be in it for the long term. It's almost like if you're a Christian and you have a bunch of non-Christian friends, you don't sit there and just hope that God's going to come down and say, that I am God and you guys should know this, and then you're going to say, I was right. No, you got to love people in the kingdom at the right time. Somebody's going to go through trouble, and you're going to have a chance to give them your testimony. You're in it for the long term. This is the long-term truth. We have the truth in QAnon. We have the truth with the Trump administration, and we know God's hands in on this. And so we can be proud of that, and we don't have to prove ourselves right to everybody because we know we're right. And slowly we'll get a chance to red pill everybody. It's not going to happen real fast, though. Sorry for that rant a little bit there. 13, if Pelosi became the Speaker of the House, it's likely a good thing for Trump. His past role, Pelosi lost. Pelosi as Speaker of the House would be a self-inflicted wound, which seems to be a recurring Democrat strategy. 14, Trump may have just solidified his unification of the Republican Party. I believe that just happened. You don't have any never Trumpers in the Senate anymore. It's clean, and there's hardly any never Trumpers in the House. So if the House of Cards starts cleaning out of the House, the ones that are there are Trump supporters, right? From the Republican side. So bad news. Here's the bad news. Historically, all first-term presidents in their respective midterms often have lost, either in the House, the Senate, or both. Losing the House in the 2018 means Trump's future legislative agenda are likely to face increasing challenges, right? And so I'm not going to go through all the rest of this, but obviously there's going to be a lot of that. All investigations into the alleged fake Russiagate will likely continue and increase and shift into other directions, such as, but not limited to, the DOJ abuses, away from the DOJ abuses, away from the FBI abuses, and it's maybe harder to jail some people, and they're going to have all kinds of investigations into Trump's taxes, and so there's going to be all this noise here that's going to be going on, right? And then Mueller's going to be, it says the Mueller report's going to be a dud, and while Emerson will wipe that dud away and move on to their next dud, right? They're going to look for their next dud, right? If you're not familiar with the personal attacks, it's called, I'm going to skip that too. That wasn't real interesting. Here's some speculations he has. Number one, the mess in the Democratic Party is very real and will increase. For example, Democrats' base tries to move to the left, and their leadership tries to bring them to the center. Red undertow in 2020. Trump is in good position for a victory in 2020. For example, all Democratic senators who voted against Brett Kavanaugh's confirmation to the nation's highest court lost in their competitive re-election bids. So smear and fake news decreasingly worked. For example, John McCain is gone. No more Jeff Flake. No more Coker as well. Red undertow in 2020. Further declassify FISA abuses for 2020. Obviously, that is going to be a lot what happens here as we go forward. So that was announced. Here's somebody else's thoughts on some of this. This is just an article out of the Daily Signal saying, so much for a blue wave, 4 of the biggest midterm takeaways. Number 1 here was a historic campaign cash couldn't turn Texas blue. That's where I live. Exciting. People were saying Beto's going to win. He didn't. It was defended, but Trump had to come and help. The Kavanaugh effect, obviously we just talked all about that. One of the reasons we are winning big, says Lindsey Graham, in the Senate tonight is because of how the Democrats treated Brett Kavanaugh, right? We know that for sure. Here's 3, a bad night for prominent progressive candidates. Right, so even though a few of them won, a lot of them did not, including O'Rourke, like we were just talking about, Beto, as well as Gilliam. Talking about Stacey Abrams. Celebrity endorsements didn't work. We saw Taylor Swift in Tennessee failed, and we had Rihanna endorsed Democrat, Andrew Gillum, Oprah, Rihanna, and Sean Diddy Combs endorsed Democrat Stacey Abrams for all these Georgia governorships, right? So she lost. Beyonce endorsed Beto. He lost. So bottom line is that the celebrity endorsements did not work. Those are the 4 takeaways from that article. Here's one that I thought was interesting. It says, there was a red wave. Did you see it? There was a red wave yesterday. Did you see it? You probably weren't looking at the whole picture. Just because you just didn't see it, other than maybe in the Senate, doesn't mean it wasn't there. This has been the plan all along. Now, I don't know if I agree totally with that. I think that they were planning for contingencies. But anyway, Kyoo asked us to do our part and vote. We did that. All along, the Dems kept saying there was going to be a blue wave. How do you stop a blue wave? You use a red wave. In physics, this is called destructive interference. The 2 waves crash against each other and cancel each other out, but only in the waves, which are out of sequence with each other, are exactly equal in energy. Otherwise, one will only disrupt the other. Imagine if we had not done our part and voted. Would there have been a blue wave? Yes. By patriots getting out and voting in the midterm the way that we did, we disrupted the blue wave. Our red wave was to counter the blue wave, and believe it or not, it did. Kyoo knew this. Just because we didn't keep the majority in the House does not mean we lost. Watch what the Dems do now. Now they are going to show the world their true colors even more. Their arrogance, their overconfidence will just add to their undoing. These people are stupid. Kyoo, right? But think about something else too. Why was Kyoo so adamant about contacting authorities over suspicious voting practices? If the 2 waves come together, typically cancel each other out. To some extent, considering their strength, where did they gain their seats? How did they do that? There were many scenarios that occurred. Dig. We kept the Senate. We will now get the judges. We have the southern border protected by the troops. Pay attention to the chess game. The pieces are being positioned. It's all about strategy. Keep the faith. Trust the plan. Where we go one, we go all. So that was an interesting perspective. Here's SB2 posted this. Last night, Donald Trump won the 2020 presidential election. That's what his take on this was. So look at this. Here's his tweet that I read you. It says, tremendous success tonight. Thank you to all. And the way SB2 looks at things, he looks at the T equals 20, take the 2 capital letters, 2020. And then you see Political says, if they take the House, he wins big. Trump loyalists see upside in impeachment. Michael Moore, Trump will win in 2020. Here's a Washington Post. Could losing the House actually help Trump in 2020? Here's another thing in Daily Beast. Losing the House could be good for Donald Trump, and here's why. Here's another article out of Miami Herald. The Democrats might be setting Trump up for re-election. Here's a New York Times. How Trump won re-election in 2020. A sneak peek at the Times news analysis from November 4th, 2020. Chicago Sun-Times. Plenty of danger for Dems if they win the House and impeach Trump. So I don't think they're going to actually succeed in impeaching if Mark Taylor's a true prophet, because that's Kim Clement is the one who say nay. They won't do that. So we'll see. Here's another analysis of this. I know this is getting deep, but I think getting a lot of perspectives helps. And this is from 8chan, helps us really get perspective. Here's a little thing. I can't read all this, but it basically talks about Trump 2018 Senate midterms. FISA D-class brings down the House of Representatives. So this is interesting if those D-classes are going to be that deep. It says, Shills, think logically. Shills, I appreciate your efforts to weaken our resolve. It's cute. But your lies don't work here except on normies, and they just get in the way. So thanks for scaring them off. However, let's look at your actual situation logically. I created a simple meme to help you understand your current plight. Basically, you're effed for several reasons. Since you are not allowed to think for yourself, I will make it easy for you to understand. November 8th, 2016 perspective. When Trump was elected, normies thought we had a 51-seat GOP Senate majority. You and I both knew better back then. But we all know now that No Name, Coker, and Flake were comped, among others. So Trump really had at least 48-seat GOP Senate minority for the past 2 years. And yet, in spite of a leaky executive branch, a weaponized FBI and DOJ, a treasonous fake news media, and a totally comped House, Trump was still able to win tax cuts, 2018 and 2019 military budgets, and 2 SCOTUS confirmations. Without these things, MAGA was over. Who is in control? Only valid answer is military and POTUS. Free to reconcile. I'll wait. Feel free to reconcile. I'll wait. Or you may bravely read on. November 6, 2018 perspective. When all midterm election results are certified, Trump will likely have about 55 GOP Senate seats. That's +4 from 51, but it's actually +7 in terms of the reliable votes. And you lost control of 3 Senate Armed Service Committee members and both comped senators on the Canadian border using their Senate Indian Affairs Committee to steal votes and traffic children. Plus, you lost your Arizona and Texas access. Much easier for us to guard half the border, really down to New Mexico and California in the south. And neither of those 2 states can exist long financially without federal funds. Who's in control? Reconcile. Yikes, you can't? Wipe your tears and read on. Let's compare to the other presidents. Trump's true gain of +7 is a remarkable achievement, and he easily outclassed Reagan, Clinton, Obama, and the other first midterms. And all 3 of them got reelected. But you know that. Plus, every city Trump traveled to allowed USSS, the Secret Service, and military to enter their cities as well, conduct some extra credit operations, laying bait, setting lures. You'll see. Who's in control? Reconcile. Yawn. I think he's talking about catching them in fraudulent election activities. Interesting. Could be. Remember the Project Veritas videos showing that? But the House, you say? Trump outperformed there as well. Reagan lost 26 seats in the 1982 midterms. Clinton lost 54 seats in the 1994 midterms. And Obama lost 63 seats in the 2010 midterms. Worst case, Trump is about equal to Reagan. I think it's going to be more like 35. But you know, the real reason to let you keep the House for a little while. It is to pacify your angry Democrat mob while we arrest your corrupt Democrat leaders. Optics and our media hostages are about to tone down the rhetoric. Hugs and kisses, Pelosi and Trump, actors. I doubt it will matter after the false declassification takes down your House of Representatives. Trust me. What does that say? Trust me. We want bad Dems and bad Republicans gone, and it will be done. And thanks to the House, Trump has already fully funded all important aspects of government for 2019, including the $716 billion for the military. Best of all, I cannot think of a single piece of legislation that Trump really needs the House to pass before all the military tribunals and indictments get unsealed. Your caravan gives us pretext to build a military barrier at the southern border. No need to scare the recently pacified Democratic minority by calling in something inflammatory like a wall, but it's an effing wall. We're in control. Reconcile. 5-5, 55 senators. Ahead of schedule. Under budget. Promised. Delivered. Trumped. God wins. I think that's awesome. So you'll go look at that yourself, and if you want to analyze it a little better. But here's Attorney General Sessions resigns. So we hear all that. So we went through that, and then here's we got Sessions retiring. Goody or good lat. In the batter's box, it's time for the hammer. So I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's going to be Trey Gowdy, but who knows? Don't be a shill. Trust Sessions. Yes, here's why. So a lot of people are saying, oh my goodness, Sessions got fired. He told us to trust Sessions. Well, he told us to trust Sessions because he was actually doing awesome things behind the scenes. And he what's his legacy? 61,000 sealed indictments, right? Sessions played his role, and his role is now done. Kyoo said to trust Sessions, and we did. Sessions is within the list of white hats in Trump's administration. Why did POTUS slander Sessions so frequently? Because he wanted him to appeal to deep state ops. Sessions' resignation is for his own protection. We don't know yet what information Sessions was able to attain, but I am almost certain this is the beginning of a new chapter. The next AG will take the torch and info that Sessions left behind, and this whole thing is about to light on fire in the very near future. Don't take these situations as a plan falling apart. You have to trust the things that don't make sense to you or to us are for good reason. If we were able to figure out this plan so simply, mainly because we want it to be clearly drawn for us all the time, then how the F do we expect military intelligence to entrap the deep state? Honestly, think. Our job is easy. They are doing all the heavy lifting, so pull your head out of your A. You just posted, somebody said. Awesome. We'll go back to that in just a second. Let me get a good stopping point here first. Top Dems demand Whitaker recusal, sound alarm after Sessions, resignation. This is a break the glass moment. So it's like, oh geez, this is so funny. They're freaking out. Top Democrats, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, the ranking members of the House committees and intelligence committees, sounded the alarm. Attorney Jeff Sessions' abrupt resignation on Wednesday and demanded that acting Attorney General recuse himself from overseeing the inquiry to the Russian meddling in 2016. So just another article from Fox News, really digging into that. 11/11, Kyoo drops the bomb. FISA D-class that Kyoo promise is not what you think it is. Now, this person has another take on this, which is really interesting. He's basically saying, dude, Trump came out a little while ago and said there will be harsh penalties for voter fraud. What is FISA? Americans who speak with foreigners who do not, who mean to do the country harm. They can get spied on. Sorry, guys. I'm getting distracted here because I wanted to see if I wanted to read this whole thing or not. I'm not going to read it all. It's just a little too long, and I'm running out of time. So basically, what this talks about is that this person thinks it's going to be more around the election fraud. A lot of it's going to be. So D-class overrides all potential House blockades. Why? The old Obama administration FISA abuses had absolutely nothing to do with the House. Only the above explanation makes sense, and that is that it's going to be around voter fraud. What does that mean? It means the intelligence gathered with FISA warrants proving Democrat voter fraud will cast the legitimacy of the House into question. They won't be able to accomplish anything against Trump's agenda. The leadership of the House may even be under question while they resolve it all. So I don't know about that, but that is another opinion that I thought was interesting. Then you see Rod Rosenstein will be offering his resignation in the next 48 hours. Breaking. Sources tell me Deputy AG Rod Rosenstein will be offering his resignation within the next 48 hours, and supposedly had a meeting with Trump late today. So that would be interesting as well. Here's the new sealed indictments, guys. This is Stormwatcher. I'll put the link in my show notes. Sign up for my email list to make sure you know exactly when I'm done with my show notes. Stormwatcher here is actually said there was 5,600 new ones in October, bringing the total count to 61,000. Thank you, Roger Sloan. South Carolina checking in. Thank you, Roger Sloan from South Carolina. But 5,651 new sealed indictments, bringing the total up to an average of 5,100 a month. That has now been a year. Look at that, 5,000 a month every single month for a year, when the 2009 was around 1,077. Now, there's a lot of people questioning this and attacking this, and it's true that some of these have been unsealed and some of them will be search warrants, but the large preponderance of them usually are indictments, okay? And some of these have multiple people per indictment. So you could take a lot of these out because some of them have been unsealed. Maybe about 10% of them is what his stats down here shows. If you open this up, he has some more details about, if you open this thing up here, it has more details down at the bottom talking about a link to where you can go investigate how many have been unsealed. I don't have time to go dig into that right now, but you can just see here's the latest updates of the 5,651 that came through in 10/1 to 10/31 this month. Or this last month in October, which actually, is over the average. So they're increasing the pace somewhat. It's crazy to think about. So again, but you can see this last note right here says at the very bottom says the second to last one. The numbers represent new sealed court proceedings filed in the U.S. federal district criminal courts during the periods listed above, and include criminal charges and search warrants. Some of them have since been unsealed or removed. And he usually puts a link to somebody else that actually shows, and I think it was about 10% of them could have been unsealed by now. So a lot of the sealed indictment, unsealed indictments, etc. But anyway, just want to make sure you guys knew that the updated counts are in. And here is: losing the House is not part of the plan. Rather, the plan takes into account the loss of the House. All scenarios planned out. It's okay. So this is exactly what I believe. This is what Kyoo was talking about in Kyoo 2444. Shift to Senate judiciary oversight from the House to now occur, stronger position, and held in reserve for this scenario. Military planning has to account for all kinds of different scenarios and see what the enemy does. Right? And they put a ton of money, a ton of effort, a ton of potentially voter fraud into making sure they won the House. So they probably protected the machines, protected the Senate, and put all our effort and Trump's mammoth effort into the Senate. The plan has a gazillion different paths and many and ways it can move forward towards the ultimate goal, freedom. The plan takes into account every move, counter move that could be made by all parties. The plan works if we win the House. The plan works if we lose the House. We lost the House. The plan was prepared for this scenario, and certain aspects of the plan have been activated, whereas others are not needed anymore. All scenarios have been planned for and taken into account. In every scenario ideal? Is every scenario ideal? No, but non-ideal scenarios are part of the plan. Military planning at its finest. Patriots in control. Trust the plan. Thought that was awesome, right? FISA D-class takes down the House. looky how vacated House seats are backfilled. So I got to read this too. There's just so much to go over. I'm already at an hour, guys. Gosh, I can't believe I just burnt through this hour. It's been so much fun to research all this. I wanted to go over some of the, you know what, I might go over this tomorrow, the rest of this news tomorrow, and dig into some of it with you. But this is interesting. I guess the summary of this is they can only be replaced through special election. Unlike the Senate, they can't just, like in the Senate, you can somebody gets taken out because of criminality or whatever, that party can replace him. But in the House, they have to be reelected by voting a replacement. And then theoretically, the people voting for the House seats replacement would have been at least somewhat red-pilled by the FISA class and public disclosure of the reps' crimes before that vote. It's like, yes, trust God, says Hoosier Patriot. You're exactly right. So that's a huge find, I thought. And then just see, we gained seats in the Senate, which has only happened 5 times in the past 105 years, without 90% of the MSM, while enduring severe shadow banning, etc., regarding Twitter, Facebook, and Google. That's amazing. We need to be proud of this president. Look at the effort he put into this. 2 years old out there, going 2 or 3 rallies a day sometimes, crisscrossing the country for us, for we the people. We need to be proud of this president, and he is delivering and campaigning at the same time. And that's why I'm proud to have this sponsor also, President Trump 2020 Freedom Coin. I've shown this to you guys, but boy, I tell you what, that you can get 3 of them or more. You get free shipping. These make great Christmas presents for any patriots you have in the family. 45th president of the United States, or patriots that you have as friends that you buy Christmas presents for. These are $35 a piece. If you're a lot wealthier than I am, what you do is you go down here and you get this gold one. It's $1,895 for the gold Donald Trump coin, but the silver one is only $35, and you can add it to your cart. Make sure at the end you put blessed in the coupon code. And I just want to show you the back of this coin is my favorite part. Delivering as promised. First major tax reform in 30 years. Unemployment rate lowest in 18 years. Jobless claims lowest since 1973. And the Dow Jones highest in history. Delivering as promised. 1 troy ounce. Awesome coin. I actually have it right here. You can probably see a little bit better there. But really cool coin. It comes in this protective, so that you don't get your, what do you call it? You don't get your oil from your skin all over it. I'm trying to do a better view of that, but it's hard. But anyway, that's the Trump coin. We ordered 7 of them. Again, we'll give 5 of them away for. Shannon wants one. I want one, and then we're going to give away the other ones for Christmas. So hey, there's a lot of other news here. FBI raids a home in L.A. City, which could some corruptions being verified. Project Veritas, thank you. They did some great things showing fraud. This Texas governor, Greg Abbott, responds saying that he's going to investigate this fraud, this voter fraud that's hitting. Now that Fox News has proven they are MSM operatives, leading conservatives on. The fact that they announced the winning of the House before the voting was even finished is uncalled for, especially for a conservative media outlet. So they are being overridden, guys. They're controlled opposition. Be careful. There's some we can trust in there, obviously, like the Sean Hannitys who are working with the president real closely, and Laura Ingraham and Tucker Carlson. But I'm telling you what, there's tons of disinformation going on in the Fox News network. So be careful who you follow, right? I know the plan. Trust the plan. This person gives a real good rundown of why he still trusts the plan. And this gal says, I'm behind Kyoo 100%. As every day goes by, this housewife can see the plan clearer and clearer. And then she's really frustrated about how people got down on this yesterday. And she said, seriously, grow a pair. So there's some advice from a housewife for you. Grow a pair and trust the plan, right? Navy SEALs, who was mocked on Saturday Night Live, wins Texas congressional election in resounding fashion. So they made fun of that guy with that lost his eye in a war, and he won, and now he's nationally known. So Hopefully he'll be blessed. Obama loses again. Everywhere Obama went, they lost. He's only about himself. He says I and me all the time, and he has no power to help win elections. Jim Acosta just got knocked out, lost his press credentials. Hey, join me on Minds.com. It's a Patriot replacement for Facebook, MINDSE.com. There's a link down below. Much better than Facebook. They actually pay you in cryptocurrency. They literally give you these. This is just you guys piling them up for me just from coming and joining, right? Again, it's only like 15 cents per token, but hey, it's cool to earn tokens for free. I had put no money into that, right? Here's my Blessed to Teach with a 2 website. I'm going to get into a couple things on prophecies here in a second. Also, I'm on Twitter and Facebook. You can obviously at the bottom of my website, you can also see, or just type in Water with Rick to actually get this filter, to have water filters that gets rid of fluoride and chlorine and heavy metals and viruses and bacteria, etc. Again, safer, cleaner water. Can get 5,000 gallons of clean water filtered through this water filter. I use it and then I use my water bottles to refill it, and saves you tons of money on bottled water. But more importantly, if they do poison our water in any way, or you will have a way to filter it, and you can only live with only 3 days of water, right? So waterwithrick.com. Food, if you want 25-year survival food, that's in military Mylar pouches. Really great breakfast, lunch, dinner. Again, 2 weeks or 4 weeks of food. You would go to preparewithrick.com. So it's either waterwithrick.com or preparewithrick.com. Okay? Let's get into, I went and listened to this Hank Kuhneman video again. It's a 6-minute video. I played that a couple nights ago, and he didn't say anything incorrectly. He just said that there's going to be an acceleration in this after this election of a lot of this stuff. So I'm going to go back to the new Q drop here. You're right. I forgot to go back to that before I get into prophecies. Let me go back to that. Let's refresh and see the new Q drop. 2459 was the last one. See if we got one or two more here. 2460. So one more here. So there's 2 Wikipedia things talking about martial law and Posse Comitatus Act, whatever that is. And it says a quote from that, or in response to chaos associated with protests and mob action. Now, I was seeing some articles about there was going to be protests and mobs going out tomorrow. So maybe they had planned that in case there was a red wave. Who knows? That's what I was concerned about. And it says, Article 1, Section 9 of the U.S. Constitution states, the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended unless when, in cases of rebellion or invasion, the public safety may require it. Interesting. So this is a martial law Wikipedia thing, is the imposition of direct military control of normal civilian functions of government, especially in response to a temporary emergency such as invasion or major disaster or an occupied territory. Martial law can be used by governments to enforce their rule over the public. Interesting. So this is another warning to Antifas of the world and all the George Soros organized events. Here's this Posse Comitatus Act. And it says, is the United States Federal Law 1385, originated at 20 Stat 152, signed on June 18, 1878 by President Rutherford B. Hayes. The purpose of this act, in concert with the Instruction Act of 1807, is to limit the powers of the federal government in using federal military personnel to enforce domestic policies within the United States. It is passed as an amendment to an Army appropriation bill following the end of Reconstruction and was subsequently updated in 1956 and 1981. The act only specifically applies to the United States Army and is amended in 1956, the United States Air Force. And so anyway, it looks like they could use some of the Navy and other things, etc. Interesting. I think that's a direct warning on these mobs, all right? Jobs, not mobs, right? Here we go on that. But anyway, hey, as far as the prophets, I wanted to show you that Mark Taylor never prophesied. You know, he may have said with his personal opinion, But as far as his prophecies are written down, that's the type of prophet he is. There's other prophets like this. I showed you this guy who just starts prophesying.
Grace now comes even over this midterm elections.
And he's talking about the midterm elections here, but he didn't predict anything specific at all, other than we're going to accelerate and there's going to be new corruption vices going to be released and new cures are going to be released, all that type of stuff. Okay, so there's nothing I saw false about Hank Kunneman, but there is one other prophet that was very specific. And guys, I'm just telling you, I don't want to overly carefully judge, because I know some people really love Prophet Charlie Shamp. I don't know much about him. I just was sent one very specific prophecy. I read it to you guys a couple times, and it was very specific. And it's all here. I don't have time to go over it all, but I'm going to show you my concern. And here's my concern. I test Mark Taylor and all prophets with Deuteronomy 18:20 through 22. I know it's the Old Testament. Could things have changed since the New Testament and that we judge prophets differently? I don't think so. I still think this test, Deuteronomy 18:20 through 22, still applies to modern day prophecy, right? It says, put a prophet who presumes to speak in my name anything I have not commanded, or a prophet who speaks in the name of other gods, to be put to death. So this is serious stuff. You may say to yourselves, how can we know when a message has not been spoken by the Lord? If what a prophet proclaims in the name of the Lord does not take place or come true, that is a message the Lord has not spoken. That prophet has spoken presumptuously. Do not be alarmed. So that's our test. It's a pretty simple test in the Old Testament. If you want to know if somebody's a true prophet, if they say, thus says the Lord X, and it doesn't happen, then that's a false prophet. Okay, now you have to give leeway, because there's, for instance, could some of the fraud and everything, and once things go, maybe the specifics of this does happen at a little bit later time. But this was a very encouraging prophecy, but he's clearly saying he was in prayer and was taken up to the Spirit. And so he's pretty much saying that he was hearing from the Lord. And he talks about what the Lord's doing. And here's the specific part that just concerns me. He said, when he's talking about literally the midterm election of 2018, so it will be breaking news. They will carry the House and the Senate. Okay, that's very specific. And it's right there. The Lord, and it says, the Lord spoke to me again. As a sure sign of the things coming to pass, there will be a wave of conservatives elected during the midterm election of 2018. It will be breaking news. They will carry the House and the Senate, and I will uproot and replant and rebuild the nation. Guys, to me, that's just a false prophecy. I don't think you can do anything around about that. And he gets really specific and says, I could see into the Senate and saw that the Republicans gained 9 seats. Those that took their place were considerably more conservative. Yes, 9 will be the sign, a sign that righteousness has been. And I saw 3 more constitutional conservatives appointed to the Supreme Court. I think you know that Mark Taylor's already prophesied this. So this, to me, is very, very concerning. I'm not going to be reading any more Charlie Shamp until somebody can explain this to me, because this totally fails Deuteronomy 18:20 through 22. Now, Mark Taylor does not, because he writes his prophecies down, and he nowhere said in his written prophecies, which is what he considers is God-given, right? And he says he can misinterpret those. So he did verbally say he believed there was going to be a red tsunami, because he's reading people like this, but he did not say I prophesy this and put it in writing like he does, and that's the way he prophesies. So anyway, that's my thoughts on the prophecies. Let me pray and we'll wrap this up. Heavenly Father, just thank you so much for giving us the insight to understand what happened in this election. I thank you for your hand moving on so many patriots to actually have record number of voters come out to the midterm elections and counteract the blue wave. Thank you for allowing just the incredible Solomon's wisdom across this Kyoo team, across military intelligence, the NSA, and the Trump administration, and to give them wisdom enough to know how powerful the Senate could be and how you were going to preserve that, Lord. Thank you for preserving that for the Republic. Lord, we just cannot wait to get rid of this corruption in our country. We cannot wait for the healing of this land and the unification of our people, and most importantly, freeing up those that are in human trafficking, eliminating all the drugs that are being run in from the deep state, and just eliminate the deep state and this Illuminati and the cabal out of our country, and then be able to replicate this healing nation worldwide. It is going to be such an exciting time. And Lord, I'm just looking, there's so many ways I want to try to help. I'm really working through that and praying through that. And I pray that everybody else here that's listened to me, even in the recording or live here, will really ask the Holy Spirit and ask the Lord, how do you want to use me in this new Second American Revolution, into this new world that's going to be such an improvement as we eliminate these century-old criminals out of this world and take their control away from them and take their wealth away from them and redistribute it back to the people, we the people. Thank you. And we just love you, Lord. We look so forward to serving you on this journey. I say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen. All right, guys. Sorry for the length of this again, but boy, it's tough when you have this much material. And I'll keep these to an hour when it's just not such huge events with so much information. I thought it was just, since I didn't record last night, just my short little 8-minute video, I wanted to give you guys a good analysis of what I really thought and what other people were thinking. So anyway, if you have a quick prayer request, put @blessed-to-teach so it turns red for me, no spaces, @blessed-to-teach, or a super chat if you want to make sure I see it. No need to give the money though; it can be just @blessed-to-teach, right? And I will make sure I get it all here. But thanks for all the amens. I love that. Awesome, says Stanley. And let's see. These coins are beautiful, says Nancy Lacrosse. Yeah, I love my coin. I love my coin for sure. Also, the water filter in the food, I think, is an important thing in these times. That's why we could be under martial law. There could be power grids going down. They could try to mess with our water. To get our guns. That was their plan. Thanks for your prayer, Blessed Teach, says Jason Richards. You're welcome, and thank you guys for joining me. Amen. X10 to our greatest, highest power, Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen. Another phase. I hear you. Great to catch up again, guys. And I love how you guys have a little community going here. It's wonderful to see you all late on this, Wednesday night, I guess. I was, thank you kindly, Rick. So it's interesting to see what will the House look like January if the Dems go to jail. Well, I think we're in it for a long haul here, guys. I think there's going to be the 3 movies play out. And if you think this first movie maybe was 3 months long or so, it could be 6 months before the mass arrest. So I wouldn't get your hopes up that it's going to happen real fast. I think this is going to take time. They're going to look like fools. They're going to have a couple of Kavanaugh type events trying to impeach and or do stupid investigations, and this could take quite some time. We'll see. I think you can't just arrest 61,000 people in one time, and and it's probably far less than that with the 10% that came out. Some of them being search warrants, some being court documents, and even though there's doubles there, and they've probably done deals with some of them already. So we'll see how this all goes. But I think we need to stay this, just like our faith in Christ. I was saying, just stay this course for a while. This isn't like I'm want to prove everybody that disagrees with me wrong. This is like, how do we save the world from these criminals, right? And it's going to take time, and it's going to take step by step by step of taking out ripping out a root at a time of these deeply rooted criminals, right? It's not going to be easy. All right. Crosskin, good night to you too. Never tired either. I'm tired. I'll tell you that. I'm just fighting off this cold, and so I am gonna call it quits here, guys. God bless you. Red line, or deep state is setting another red line because they know they're in trouble now, because without Sessions there's no recusal. There's no reason to recuse. The American people are not going to demand a recusal. Why? Because they have no power, and everybody knows it's a bunch of crap, and they want Mueller under control anyway. So the election analysis here is going to be, you saw a bunch of different opinions, but obviously this was a scenario that was planned for. It's probably not the ideal scenario. The ideal scenario would be have the House and Senate, but heck, the Senate is much better shape than it was. We're in a better shape than we were 2 years ago. That's the point. We've given the Democrats just enough rope to hang themselves, and have the powerful Senate that has the Senate Judiciary, where all the work we've done the last 2 years will continue, and they also have far more power to give the judges in place, as well as Supreme Court judges, as well as the cabinet positions, which will be real key, such as getting Trey Gowdy in there to actually prosecute where he has power. And he's going to have fun once he gets in there. This is the Blessed to Teach show here on November 7th. God bless you guys. We'll talk to you next time.